Hello everyone and welcome to Mr. Regan's AP Chemistry course. This is my first video that you will be watching, and this one is on your algebra portion of your summer assignment. I am somebody that loves algebra. That's my sister, by the way, and you're going to need it this year in your AP Chemistry course, so I know that it's important, so I want to make sure that you get a good base at the beginning of the year. So the problem that I gave you was this y equals the cube root of 6 plus e to the 3 minus 2x over 7. And you may not have even seen this e thing before. It's related to the natural log, and the natural log is actually the log base e of something. And when we talk about logs, that is the opposite of 10 raised to something. So you may have seen this number before, 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd, which is a mole. And so this portion here that we're looking at, 10 raised, that's related to this 10. And if we wanted to do find the opposite of 10 raised to something, we would use the log, base 10. And the log is related to the natural log. So that's where this is coming in. And we're going to use that in a unit called kinetics, which will be in the second half of the year. So what I want to do here is to start off by solving this problem. In your note packet you have a few pages or a couple pages of step-by-step guides on how to do this, on how to do multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, cube roots and cubes, as well as e in the natural log. So what I'm going to do here is just go step-by-step through this problem on the next page, and please follow along if you still need help. So here's the problem. Y equals the cube root of 6 plus e to the 3 minus 2x over 7. And I'm going to point out a few parts here. So in this problem, what we're trying to do is solve for x. So that is this up here. So we have to get rid of everything else except for that x. And in order to do that, we need to follow a few orders of operation. And the first thing that we're going to need to do is take care of this cube root here. And in your notes I said that in order to get rid of something, so in order to get this x here, everything else has to be gotten rid of. And we do that by doing the opposite of the function that we need to get rid of first. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. The opposite of x cubed would be the cube root, and the opposite of the natural log would be e raised to whatever we have. So it's going to be important that if you see a cube root, we want to cube that value. So let's start there. So that's going to be our first step, because everything in, excuse me while I erase a few things, everything in the square root here, or the cube root, needs to be gotten rid of first. So let's do that. So in order to get rid of this cube root, we need to do y, we need to cube both sides. And so when we cube both sides, what's going to happen is that this is just going to cancel out, and you're going to be left with 6 plus e to the 3 minus 2x over 7. Okay, so we're one step closer to solving for x. The next step is going to be getting rid of that 6. So the 6 is by itself, and because there's the addition here, we're going to need to do the opposite of addition. And also, because this is a positive number, it doesn't say that it's positive, you can assume that it's positive though, we can do the opposite of that, which would be to subtract. By the way, these three dots mean therefore. It's like an arrow moving on to the next step. So I'm going to do the opposite of a addition, which is going to be subtract 6 from both sides. Subtracting the 6 will cancel that out, and you'll be left with a positive, which I don't need to write, e raised to the 3 minus 2x over 7. Next, we need to get rid of that e, because the x is still up here, so we need to get that by itself. So in order to get rid of e, we said we had to do the opposite of e, and the opposite of e is the natural log. So what we're going to do is take the natural log of both sides, and so then that becomes, we just write ln, I don't like that color, we're going to do ln of both sides, so y cubed minus 6 equals, and the natural log, if I take the natural log of this side, again they're just going to cancel out, and I get 3 minus 2x over 7. One step closer. So now I have a value on the bottom here which I need to get rid of. And if you remember from algebra, if you have a fraction, you need to multiply it across to the other side. So that is going to give us 7 natural log of y cubed minus 6. And again, this 7 should just cancel out, and that'll equal 3 minus 2x. We are getting closer to the end, so in order to finish up, we will realize that this x is still multiplied. So that's got to be the last step that we do, and so before we can do that, we have to get rid of that 3. And again, this 3 is a positive number, even though it doesn't say it. So we have to do the opposite of that, which is subtract. So 7 natural log y cubed minus 6 minus 3 equals negative 2x. And this will finally lead to our last step, and we can get rid of this negative 2 because it's multiplied here. We want to do the opposite of that, which is going to be dividing, and we will get that x equals 7 natural log of y cubed minus 6 minus 3 over negative 2. Got to make sure you carry this negative over, because we're not solving for negative x, we're solving for positive x. And if we wanted to rearrange this a little bit to get rid of this negative on the bottom, we can do that just by multiplying everything by negative 1, and that would lead to an alternate answer of x equals negative 7 natural log y cubed minus 6 plus 3 over 2. This sign doesn't change because it is part of this natural log, but the other signs do. So this sign changed, this sign changes, and this sign changes. And these are your possible final answers. So if you could solve for that or follow along with that in those processes, you should have no problem in your mathematics or algebra in AP Chemistry. If you can't, there are a couple extra problems at the end of this video that you can go through. The next part about this video will be the equations in your additional exercises. So these additional exercises are exact equations that you will be seeing in the chemistry course. So this PV equals nRT, this is something that deals with gases and how they react at a certain pressure, volume, with a number of moles, and at a certain temperature. This one, pH, that deals with acids and bases. and there's a lot of material on the AP exam about that. This is another one that deals with gases. And the next page, solving for K. This is one that is prevalent in thermo, talking about heat and if a reaction will occur or not. And same thing for this one here. So this is another thermo, talking about heat and whether a reaction will occur spontaneously or whether it won't happen at all. Okay, so let's go back to this one here. And we are solving for T. So these equations are much easier, you'll see, than the one that I just solved with you. So let's go to this color here. I want to solve for T. So notice that this is actually P times V equals N times R times T. We don't have to write the time signs, we just need to know that that's what they mean. And if you have two things multiplied by each other, you can divide whatever you need together over to the other side. So if I want to solve for T, everything's multiplied together, I just divide N and R both over to the other side. And the N and the R's are going to cancel out, and I'm left with T equals P times V over N times R. And again, these times you don't need to put them, and I'm not going to put them. So we could say again, T equals PV over NR, and you have your temperature value. You could solve for a different variable. We might be able to solve if we wanted to for N or R or P or V. Okay, so we could solve for any of those, but in this case I just wanted to solve for temperature. In this case, here's another one that deals with logs, and we said earlier that the opposite of log is 10 raised. So the natural log was with E raised, and that the regular log is related to 10 raised. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here is get rid of this. I want to get just H plus. So I want to get rid of that negative log. So I'm first going to just get rid of the negative. So I'm going to divide both sides. So pH equals negative log H plus. And I'm going to divide by -1. And that just gives me negative pH equals the log of H plus. And in order to get rid of a log, we have to do the opposite, which is 10 raised. So I do 10 raised to both sides. This is going to cancel that out. And so I'm just going to have the H plus, simply enough, is 10 to the negative pH. And there we have what our H plus is. All right, the third one's solving for D in this case, and D is going to be your density or mass over volume. Okay, so in order to get D by itself, which is this one here, I need to first get rid of the stuff on the bottom, which is the pressure. So I need to multiply across. We could say that this is actually mm over 1. And if you know how to cross multiply, what this is going to be is P times mm equals dRt times 1, but we don't need to write that. And so now, if I want to solve for D, looks very similar to this one up here, where I want to just divide over everything but the D. So therefore, Pmm over RT equals D. Okay, so this is an equation you will see in the course, and we've just completed the 3 additional exercises, and now let's go to exercises 4 and 5. Alright, in this one we are solving for k, and we know that we see this natural log thing here again, but we're going to need to get rid of it. Unfortunately, that's going to be the last step. So before that, we need to get rid of the things that are multiplied together. And in order to get rid of things that are multiplied, we must divide. So we take this g and divide it by the things that are on the opposite side. So it's going to be g over negative RT equals the natural log of k. Alright, and so we should be okay now with this. If we see a natural log, we need to do e raised to both sides. And e and a natural log will cancel out. And I'll have my final answer of k equals e raised to the delta g, or I'm sorry, just g over negative RT. Remembering this negative sign here is going to be vital later in the year, so don't forget to move that negative over. And our final one, solving for s. This one might be a little bit tricky. We have some addition and subtraction and some division. And let's just go with black on this one. So I need to get this s here. First, because I see a subtraction, I need to get rid of that h. And it's implied that it's a positive, so I do the opposite of the positive, which is negative. So g minus h equals negative ts. Solving for s now, because these are multiplied together, I want to do the opposite, which is divide. So I have g minus h over negative t equals s. And if you don't like that negative on the bottom, we can just multiply or divide by negative 1, so that s is also equal to negative g plus h over t. Either one is acceptable, either one works, both are correct. And finally, I'm going to give you one more tough algebra example. We're going to solve for both a and b here. So a here, b here, and we're going to start with the easier one to solve for, which is going to be b. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite this equation. 2 over 14a minus 7 equals the natural log of b squared minus 4. If you want to, you can pause this video and give yourself a minute or two to try to solve for b or a by yourself. If you do get stuck, you can resume playing, and I'll go through it. So if we're solving for b here, we need to get rid of everything that's on the same side as b. And we notice that we have a natural log function. So in order to get rid of a natural log, we do the opposite, which is e raised to both sides. And so we get e to the 2 over 14a minus 7 equals b squared minus 4. The b squared minus 4 doesn't cancel out, just the natural log and the e. Okay, next, we're very close. We have b on the right side almost alone. We need to get rid of this 4 here by doing the opposite. So we're going to say that now e to the 2 over 14a minus 7 plus 4 equals b squared. This 4 does not go up top in that e raised because it's a whole new part of the problem. So it's its own separate thing, so it's on its own separate down here. And finally, if we see a squared, we have to do the opposite, which is square root. So finally, b equals the square root of this whole thing here, which is e to the 2 over 14a minus 7 plus 4. Alright, and that was the easier one, so now let's finally try the tougher one, which is solving for a. Going to rewrite one more time. 2 over 14a minus 7 equals the natural log b squared minus 4. Alright, so we notice that a is on the bottom of the left side. It always has to be on the top or by itself. In one of the other problems in the additional exercises, I said you could think of this as being over 1. And what we can do then is cross multiply. So I'm going to rewrite this now as, so I'm cross multiplying here and here. So we're going to say that 2 times 1, which is just going to be 2, equals this whole thing, the natural log of b squared minus 4 times 14a minus 7. Because we are solving for a, I need to get everything else over, and we can think of this as being this own quantity here. Because we didn't multiply this across, we left it alone. And so what we're going to want to do is keep a on the right side, but get rid of everything that's related to b. So because these are multiplied, we have to do the opposite, which is divide. And so that's going to be 2 over the natural log of b squared minus 4, and that equals 14a minus 7. All right. We know that between multiplication and addition subtraction, we have to get rid of the subtraction first. So because this is a minus, we have to do the opposite, which is add. So 2 over the natural log of b squared minus 4 plus 7 in its own separate area here equals 14a. And we are one step away, noticing that 14 and a are multiplied together. We can just divide by 14. So we can say that this is its own thing here. The plus 7 is with it, though, in its own upper bracket. And so we can finally say that a equals 2 over the natural log of b squared minus 4 plus 7, all divided by 14. And so we can say that this whole thing is together. And that is a tricky algebra problem. Much tougher than what we'll see in class, but it helps you in the future for your algebra. I hope these videos helped, or this video at least helped. I know it's a little bit long, but it helps you understand the steps that I go through with some words. And if you need any extra help, please email me, sregan1@pghboe.net. Thanks for listening. See you soon.